welcome back for book 4 of the Book of Four Things, Melee in Isolation, with kids' toys, and me, Master Wistric often. So far we've talked about line engagement, which is you come to a line, you fight. It's how to stand in the way of a line. We've talked about flanking, which is how to go around a line. And now this is the fourth thing, because you can flank right, things 2 and 3, flank right, flank left, things 2 and 3. And now this is the fourth thing, going through a line, charging. Very fast or very slow, and take your pick. So the way that you've probably all learned, or you may have learned about how to go through a line, is the step command. And I'm going to take out some of these players because they're no longer really needed. So you come up to the line and say, prepare to step. 1, 2, 3, step. And everybody steps forward theoretically, and your opponent step back. Again, you say, prepare to step. 1, 2, 3, step. And so you gain a step. Prepare to step. 1, 2, 3, step. So every 6 seconds, 7 seconds, you gain a foot. You do that when you need to gain ground, naturally. And you need to have a large unit that will listen to you. And that's where, or at least a line in front of you that will listen to you. Because if somebody doesn't hear, prepare to step, then they are a gap. These 2 steps forward. Turtle says, I'm going to kill the Ankylosaurus. Boom. And your entire advance just died. I don't... so, when you have a nice trained unit, it's ready to go, sure, go for it. If they're ready for you, though, if they have reinforcements coming in, if you don't have reinforcements coming in, these are bad times to do the step command. Because if they're ready for you, you say, ready to step, 1, 2, 3, step. You've given them all this time to say, I know what's coming. And if your line can hear you, your enemy can hear you. So that's the big problem with it. It tells your opponent you're coming, and it gives them plenty of warning. And if you hear ready to step, 1, 2, 3, step, that's all the time in the world to figure out, okay, what am I going to do to stop this? When this guy in front of me takes a step at me, what am I going to do to stop them? So some people come up with secret code words for their unit to use. We're going to call banana, and that means step. The problem is that works for your unit. Your little local unit, great. 5 people, maybe 10 people who can do the job, assuming they're all in the same place at the same field on the battlefield at Pinzik or Gulf Wars. Sure, you have a 5, 10 person line that can go forward out of 200. And that's not a hugely useful thing. And that assumes they remember it, because in the heat of battle, hearing somebody yell, banana, doesn't mean anything. And then the real problem is that you teach it as it's the step command, but we're going to say banana. So the banana command doesn't have any meaning. What they really are looking for is step. And if they don't hear step, they're not going to do it. So banana command is stupid. Don't do it. Or never use the phrase step command in your life and just say banana command and only ever say banana, which will work for your 5 to 10 fencers at your local practice. No kingdom practices together enough, trains together enough to get that drilled into their heads. So get ready to step, 1, 2, 3, step. Your opponent's ready for you. They know you're coming. And so maybe you get a step, maybe you don't. I have never seen the step command used really effectively. I've been on the battlefield at Pinzik for 15 years, Gulf Wars for 10 years. And just, it's never really impressed me as a tool. And I don't think people should spend their time training it. So what I think you should do is do something you don't have to train at all, which is, and it's just a change in the way the commander gives the order. Instead of saying 1, 2, 3, step, you just tell people to shoot and to step. Because shoot, aha, shoot. Ready isn't an action. 1, 2, 3 isn't an action. That's a whole lot of communication. That's just noise. Shoot is a command. Shoot, shoot, step, step. So let's. And I've came up with this in the middle of a line battle at Pinsick and walked a bunch of people. I had no idea who they are or what a kingdom they were even from. Just walked them forward over a flag. It was great. So this line comes up. They can do ready to step. 1, 2, 3, step. You can step, maybe. Or this line comes up. Ready, shoot, step, shoot, step, shoot, step. What that means, you've got, first of all, 3 steps taken in the time it took the step command to do 1. Your opponent doesn't get really any warning. Your opponent, instead of, you say ready, 1, 2, 3, and if you're the one giving the command, your side's probably waiting for that step command, and they're not moving, they're not doing anything. Instead, this is ready, shoot, and your side's throwing a shot, and then they step in right behind it. So not like recover backwards, just recover up behind your sword, shoot again, step again. This side doesn't get time to recover, it doesn't get time to resume their guards, it doesn't get time to do anything except go, oh crap, they just stepped forward. Oh crap, now there's a sword coming at my face. Now I've got to step back. Oh crap, now there's step forward again. Oh, now there's a sword coming at my face. I've got to go back. They don't get time to recover. They don't get time to communicate and say, oh, do something and fall back, because they're constantly under barrage, constantly getting pushed. So, ready to shoot. Ready, shoot, step, shoot, step, shoot, step. I like it. It's a lot more effective, a lot cleaner. You don't have to train it. You tell people to shoot, and then you tell people to step. And there's no warning, and there's no complication, and nobody's yelling banana. So that is the first way of going through a lot, of engaging from inside measure, because that's what you're doing. You're stepping inside measure and throwing shots and getting them to push back. The next one is, we're going to call it the slow charge. And if you know Fabris's second book, Proceeding with Resolution, this is just getting an entire unit to proceed with resolution in a stately manner. What do? You walk forward, and then you keep walking. If your opponent has a nice static line, if they have enough space, if they are shoulder to shoulder, meaning there's nowhere to go through here, you're not going to get through that. But the goal is to walk through the line, not over your opponent. So you need to have space to go through. So little, shoulder width gap in there. And it does require a certain amount of skill from your own fighters, because what has to happen is they have to walk through as they come to engagement, suppress their opponent's weapons, and continue to keep those weapons suppressed. Everybody keeping the weapons suppressed, because if Hadrosaur messes up, Ankylosaurus is taking a sword, as they proceed through here. And we'll pretend for now that our opponents are inert and not easily scared. So yeah, there has to be some skill, and it gets you into the backfield immediately. Gets you onto a flag immediately. Usually in front of a flag, you see really shoulder-to-shoulder defensive lines, so you can't do this. But if it's slightly more open line in front of the flag, you walk through the enemy line and you end up on their flag and their backfield. And they end up behind you, but they're disorganized, because they just had the enemy walk past them. So if you aren't willing to get hit with a stop thrust, though, don't do it. This person is walking at 2 people who have swords, and they are not breaking their stride, and they are going to get stabbed. There's a decent likelihood, and they need to know that that's going to happen, and not really be too upset unless their opponent jacks them in the face with a Superman punch, because that is not how you stop a charge. And if you don't have the skill for it, don't do it. If when you hear the word charge, you think run forward, flailing wildly, and smack swords aside, that's not this. That's how you end up hurting your opponent. That's how you end up getting hurt, and it ends up being your fault. But advancing at a continuous pace, passing steps, gaining blades. If you know the term, advance with resolution, passing steps, gaining blades, putting your swords on top of your opponent's swords so that they can't get to you, and going on through the line. If you can do it, great. This is a thing to practice with your unit. Having just said the step command is, great, your 5-person unit might be able to do something with it or not. If a 5-person unit can walk through the enemy line, that's a big difference from a 5-person unit maybe being able to make a unit take a step back. A 5-person unit that can walk through the enemy line has just made a 5-person wide hole in the line, which is 2 big flanks, and there are 5 people in the backfield, and the rest of these lines to flank and destroy them. That's a much more useful investment of your time and your training space and energies than 1, 2, 3 step. Oh wait, this guy didn't step. Oh great, he died. Okay. And it never hurts to be good enough at tempo measure closing lines to be able to do this sort of thing, because it's also sort of stuff you have to do in a one-on-one fight. So, as I said, you don't run at your opponent. You go in the gaps between. This is not how you advance through a line. This is how you advance through a line. All right? These ways. If you run into your opponent, your charge stops. And where do you go? The marshal takes you to Marshal's Court. Marshal's Court isn't a bad thing. It's just a chance for us to all learn how to do this better. I say this as Marshal for next Gulf Wars. You should all come. You should all fight. Don't be afraid to take somebody to Marshal's Court, so long as it's about making sure everybody's safer. Because if we don't address safety issues when they happen, they don't get addressed. Okay, so advance between the fighters, cover their blades, don't break stride. Right? If you stop here, if you cover their blades and stop, haha, I have succeeded. You give your opponent a chance to go, oh wait, haha, and disengage and hit you. Disengage and hit you. So don't break stride. You gain those blades, you keep walking. Now, if you get hit, die down. Fencers, we advance against an enemy line, we get stabbed, we go, oh yeah, that was good, okay. And we turn around and walk out. If the rest of this unit is coming in behind and this guy stops and turns and walks out, well, this guy's not advancing because he's dead. These 2 fighters, they're stuck back here. These 2 fighters have stepped forward. Turtle has nobody in front of him, so he's going to kill Ankylosaurus and then maybe kill Smilodon. And that's not Smilodon, but that's what he's getting called. Instead, die down. Take a knee. I tend not to say die to the ground like the heavy fighters do. Don't like sprawl out on the ground, because then you're a tripping hazard. But take a knee. Go from being this to being really about this guy's size. All right? Because that's easy to fight around. That's easy to fight over. I mean, if your advance did stop right here, and you've got a dead guy kneeling in front of you, you have a lower body shield. Make use of it. And you won't be a tripping hazard, and your team will be able to go around you, and you won't stop the momentum of the charge. There is, and if you find me at an event, I will tell you the story about the elephant charge, where we did all of this at a vigorous quick step, not quite running, um, but up to and including the not breaking stride part, and dying down, and all of the chaos and martial involvement that led to. It's a fun story. It's a great learning opportunity. And find me at an event, and if there's a beer handy, I will gladly tell you all about it, because it is just about the best time I ever had at a golf course. Let's see what else. So right, if you can't die down, if you can't take a knee, you're not in the charge. Be a supporter. This fighter has bad knees. He is not going to be up here where he might have to get struck, take a knee, and get out of the way. If he physically can't just drop to a knee in the middle of the fight, then he'll get struck. He'll still be standing there in the path of the people coming behind him. Just if you can't take a knee, don't be in the front wave. Be in the follow up. Know your physical limitations. So let's see. That is again advancing without breaking stride. This is not running. Advancing without breaking stride. Walk at your opponent. Cover their blades. Keep walking. Walk through them. Walk past them. Stab them if you can, but don't get stabbed, because there will be plenty of time to turn around and stab them once you're on the other side. Okay. Last little bit of what to do for close engagement this is fairly high skill technique that you can train up with a tight group of moderate skilled fighters. So again, this is a place where, having said, training the advanced step, or the step command with your 5-person unit isn't very useful. If you can train something, though, that will make a gap in a line, that's useful. And if you've got 5 fighters who can do this, this is a great thing to do. Again, if it's walking through the opponent's line, 5 fighters who can do that are a huge asset. Or when you come to static engagement, you're not going to be able to start walking here. There are, just like in single Rapier, there are tempo. There's tempo. There are additional tempi, because there's lots of more moving parts, and it's really the when it's just me fighting some other person, the communication lag is a quarter of a second, maybe an eighth of a second. That's just the neuron signaling. My eyes say, "Hey, I hit them," or I hit their hand, or their sword is coming at me, and my brain sends the signal to respond, and that's somewhere between an eighth and a quarter of a second. Quarter of a second for, I think, most people. With melee, your brain is back here, and it's listening, and it has to hear things, and then say things, and explain things. Or your brain is in the next person over. So there's a communications lag. There's that tempo of the neuron firing is much larger, and it becomes important for things like if Turtle takes Pinkosaurus's hand, Pinkosaurus says, "Good hand," and they step back and start to swap their sword over here. Ankylosaurus may not even have heard the good hand, may not have registered that hand was lost. Meanwhile, Pinkosaurus is taking this action to step back and swap their sword. In that moment, Turtle can just continue on and hit Ankylosaurus. It's the tempo of acknowledgement is what I call it. In the time that the opponent you've just struck is saying good, and all you have to do is take a hand. You don't have to kill them. Just good hand. And taking themselves out of the fight for that moment, you have that moment in which to make another strike. And what's necessary then is, if Turtle pulls this off, great, okay. Turtle's a rock star. Where it starts to get more useful, though, is if these three fighters are nicely trained up, and all really on the ball, in tune with each other, and have practiced, Turtle takes Pinkosaurus's hand, and Nemo knows that for that moment, Nemo can lunge at Smilodon and not have to worry about getting hit by Pinkosaurus. Turtle takes Pinkosaurus's hand, and Nemo, bam, jumps Smilodon. Pinkosaurus is back here going, oh, what? Turtle's continuing in, and now, because these two are in tune with each other, paying attention to each other, have trained this idea that when we come to a line, we're going to be looking for the opportunities that others make, the openings that others make, those tiny little advantages of acknowledgement and of time. Again, you've taken my hand, you've killed me. Even your teammate getting hit is a tempo of acknowledgement that you can exploit. Pinkosaurus attacks Turtle. Turtle gets hit and calls, good. And Pinkosaurus says, great, I have hit that person. Now I shall adjust and figure out my next target. If Pinkosaurus lunges out, hits Turtle, Nemo has the time for Pinkosaurus to confirm that they've made the kill, come back, reorient, to take out Smilodon and start an attack on Pinkosaurus. So this starts, Nemo goes, and by the time that Pinkosaurus is coming back to the line, Nemo's hitting Pinkosaurus. And, we lost Turtle, but Turtle's slow. The next stage is going to involve a lot of running into the backfield. And then in exchange, we've taken out two. It's like I said, it's split-second opportunities and the ability to pay attention to how your teammates are creating them, and whether or not your teammate is exploiting it or you are. Because if let's see, what do we do here? Smilodon attacks Nemo. Let's see, how do we what's the opportunity? So while all this is going on over here, right? Turtle goes out. Nemo's killed people and is going this way. If Ankylosaurus turns and kills Nemo, Nemo is all of this beautiful action is lost and is useless. So Krabby needs to say, Turtle just called good. I see Nemo is moving. I need to jump on Ankylosaurus so that Ankylosaurus doesn't stop Nemo from getting through into the backfield where she can do some good. And then now Krabby is the start of a flank, essentially, while Nemo's in the backfield, the rest of the line's over here, and you're back to the second book, third book, flanking. It's really cool when it goes off. It's really hard to train to make it go off. It's a goal for your squad to reach for. And I might do a video where I talk through how to do training at your local practice, even if you only have a few people. Even training things like that. In the meantime, good luck. Stay healthy. Maintain your social distance. And I will talk to you all later.